the coronavirus. What if there was something even more dangerous out there right now? What if there was another pandemic looming over the globe and threatening your very security at this very moment? Welcome to the Cardone Solutions Podcast. I am the host of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. My name is David Bradley, Senior Sales and Marketing Manager with Grant Cardone. Today, we are going to be talking about something even more dangerous than the coronavirus. Yes, there's lots of things out there that are even more dangerous than that pesky, what's the word, pesky? Yeah, pesky little bugger, okay? So, you ready? Let's get ready, because we're going to dig into Grant Cardone's strategy of the week that went out just recently, where we're going to address, we're going to confront, and we're going to go head on with the coronavirus. But before we start, let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, number one, if the Cardone Solutions Podcast is providing value to you, if you're getting some benefit from it, please do me two favors. Number one, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And then number two, please feel free to share this content with anybody else that when you hear something you're like, hey, so-and-so needs to hear that, please pass that on to them. The purpose of the Cardone Solutions Podcast is to take Grant Cardone's content, the stuff that he's putting out in blog posts, strategies of the week, articles he's written, maybe a tweet, an email that went out, and make sure that we're pulling full value from it and that you can take this material and plug it into your sales and your business and your life. 85% of what we do here is 100% free. And speaking of which, who sponsors the Cardone Solutions Podcast? A couple different things are happening to make the Cardone Solutions Podcast real, but the first and foremost, the number one thing for me is Cardone University. This is the number one sales training program on planet Earth, in the solar system, and dare I say, the galaxy. 15 to 30% new business in the first 90 days is a pretty common occurrence over here at Cardone University. If you're a sales manager, if you have salespeople, if you're a business owner and have a team, here's some facts you just cannot ignore. 1. 87% of salespeople miss their quota. 73% of employees are disengaged at work. That means their body's there, and that's about it. 64% of people have no playbook and have no plan whatsoever what to do with a sales cycle or even on a sales call. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a customer, not even once. 83% of sales managers literally do not have time to train and develop and motivate their team the way they wish they could. If any of these problems are yours, visit cardonesolutions.com/10x your team and get signed up for a free tour, free demonstration, and free access to this program. I will show you two things you can do with Cardone University and your sales team to get everybody over there an extra 2 to 3 deals in the next 7 days. That's right, cardonesolutions.com/10x your team. Don't believe it? That's fine. Test me, I dare you. All right, so what is going on with this coronavirus? I mean, what is the deal? So here's the opening question. So if you take a look at Grant Cardone's strategy of the week that just went out, here's the question that I came up with. Here's the thing that I started thinking with is, hey, is there something even more dangerous? Are we in more danger? Is there something even worse going on that we're not even aware of, right? Everyone's aware of the coronavirus, right? But what is that distracting us from? So if there's something else that's looming, you'd want to know about it. And the number one reason you want to know about it is if you have fair warning to prepare for something and then even inoculate yourself, you'd want to know what's coming so you can prepare and inoculate, right? So in Grant Cardone's strategy of the week, he's going to expose, or he does expose, a far worse, way more contagious, and significantly more dangerous thing than the coronavirus. Have you ever heard of a term called Normality Bias? This is the tendency for people to believe things that will always function the way they normally do. And so consequently, they wind up underestimating both the likelihood of a disaster happening and its potential possible effects. So basically, having a normality bias is the assumption that a lot of folks have, which is everything's going to be just fine until it's not. So on these posts, when I do these podcasts, I always want to make sure that you as a listener have a little bit of something to take with you, some measurable, actionable things, exercises, if you will. So the first one is this. It's your action idea or your exercise, numero uno, number one. Have you ever underestimated the likelihood of a pending disaster? What kind of disaster was it? Could be personal, could be business, could be environmental, right? What was it? What happened? And then what did you learn from it? So here's a couple examples of when the normality bias will rear its ugly head. Extreme weather in an approach like an approaching hurricane. How many times have you seen on the news right before the storm hits or as it's approaching, it's all sunny out and everything's honky-dory and it doesn't look like anything's going wrong. And folks are saying, we're staying, we're going to wait it out. We waited out the last 50, right? And we'll be fine. Only 2 days later when the storm hits, these are the ones that are on top of their roof, waving down the helicopter as the floodwaters continue to rise. What about wildfires in California? Now that's where I live. I live in California, and you would see people refusing to leave their home. Or they'd certainly wait until it was just too darn late. And then they lost everything. They didn't pack, they didn't prepare, they weren't ready. And when it came time to bone out, they lost it all. Today in the news, right? So it's all about the coronavirus, right? Everything seems normal so far until there's a pandemic on the way. And then, cue the Walking Dead theme song, right? What about a relationship you've had? There's a normality bias there, right? Have you ever saw that breakup coming, but you just didn't do anything about it until it was too late? I think we've all made that mistake. We can look back at high school or college at an opportunity that just sort of, right? It was because of your normality bias. Have you ever ignored the writing on the wall at a job? And by the time you finally confronted it, it was too late. So whether it's a hurricane, it's a virus, personal matter, work-related issue, many people simply just don't prepare until they actually see the disaster unfolding before their very eyes, and it's just too late. And so when that happens, by the time the disaster hits and it's already too late, if you hadn't prepared, right? Now, how does this translate into you as a business owner with a sales team, or you have salespeople, or you're in sales, or you have a business that relies on sales, solopreneur, right? Here's a great quote. A lot of people get credit for it, so I'm not even going to bother trying to figure out who it was, but I've got it literally on a Post-it note on my computer here. When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has passed. So think about that. And that brings us to exercise number 2, which is think about a time you were underprepared for an opportunity. And that could be an opportunity to close a deal, advance yourself in your company, something that would have resulted in more income for you. Think about a time where you were underprepared for that opportunity. You got it? Now let's think about how much that has cost you. Not just that incident, but what did that do over the years, or the time since it happened? And do the math on that. I want to encourage you to do the math on that. Now, it hurts doing the math, but that's a good reason to do it, because it helps. That's good pain. Pain, as they say in the military, is weakness leaving the body. That is the kind of pain you want to give yourself, so it motivates you to move away from it and start looking for the opportunity and being prepared for the opportunity, which we'll talk about in a second. Have you ever denied the reality of a situation? When you think back about those examples I just cited off, have you ever denied the reality of a situation? And denial is typically the first reaction to a reality smackdown, if you will, right? And it's not a response. It really isn't. It's a reaction. Because when you respond, it implies that a decision is made and a choice to do something about the situation. Reaction, though, it's instinctual and it's primal. So Grant talks a lot about this in his book, If You're Not First, You're Last. So if you look at if there's an earthquake happening or you're getting punched in the face, how long can you deny it's happening? So here's Grant, right out of the strategy, word for word, verbatim, quote time, okay? The middle class has a normality bias, making 50 grand a year and thinking it's normal and that everything is fine. Then a financial crisis will come. You may not see it yet, but if you are in the middle class, you need to stop denying that your financial situation is okay. We live on an economic planet, and $50K a year is not enough. You may not see that now, but if you don't change something and start increasing your income, when the financial crisis comes, you will be underprepared, like the person who failed to heed the hurricane warning. So in big, bold letters, there is a pandemic of average in this world. It is very contagious and even more dangerous than the coronavirus. This is what I was alluding to when we started today's episode. There is a pandemic of average in this world. It's very contagious and even more dangerous than the coronavirus. Please don't misunderstand. Neither Grant nor myself or anybody at Cardone Training Technologies is attempting to make light of a threat of a virus. We are observing that before the media picked this ball up and running with it, people have been settling for just enough and just getting by for generations. And they're passing that on to their family and friends. And it's very destructive and it's very dangerous. There's no need to recap what happened in 2008 because you already know that what we just said is true and correct. What we should be talking about is how do you inoculate yourself from a contagion? And if average, and average think, and average doing, if it's contagious, if it's a contagion, then you need to get vaccinated, right? You need to get inoculated. You need to protect yourself from catching average. Okay, so here's Grant again, quote unquote. You need to have a good attitude, and a good attitude comes from good production. The more you produce, the better your attitude will be. And the higher above average you will fly. Just as your body is a reflection of what you put in it and how you take care of it, your mind is the same. Whatever's going on in your head is going to come out of your mouth. So Grant keeps positive books in his house, writes his goals down 2-3 times a day, controls what he watches. Grant says, I want to watch winners. Your life and your career depend on your attitude. You need control over your content. I stay positive, Grant, by controlling the content of my mind. So let's go to action idea number 3 for you. Exercise, okay? How do you control the content of your mind? Now remember, GC says white space in the calendar is the devil. So do you calendar? Do you put in your calendar time for reading, writing your goals down twice a day, and personal development? And if not, what would happen? Actually, what will happen when you do? Not what would happen if you did. What will happen when you do? Right? I mean, could you do that? Could you get that in the calendar? Could you make the commitment to keeping only positive books around, to writing your goals down 2 or 3 times a day, to control the content of your mind, making sure you're doing personal development every day and get that all in a calendar? Could you do that? Would you, though? That's the question. And then if you would, then when? Like, how about right now? So, which brings us right back to what we started talking about in the very, very beginning of the episode, which is Cardone University. So that's not just a sales and business training program. So if you're a sales manager and you listen to this, or if you're a salesperson, please share this with your manager. Cardone University becomes the tool that you can then start using to take even greater control over the content that goes into your noggin. 20 minutes as part of your morning routine is an incredible way to protect and vaccinate your mind from doubt, negativity, and average think. And if you are a sales manager and you listen to this, and you have salespeople struggling with average think, you have mediocre salespeople, and they all have a normality bias, getting them on Cardone University will become vital to the solvency of your business and your company. How many years have your employees been getting indoctrinated with average think, employee mindset? It's still coming at them hard right now. They're getting pounded in the media. 2% of your sales force will be resistant to this. 2% are going to be incurable. But what about the rest? Okay, they will succumb to the disease of average without the right vaccine. And Cardone University literally becomes your vaccine when you use it. You want skin in this game. The average American spends 9.73 hours a day looking at stuff online. That's happening either way. So if you're a manager, do you want skin in that game? If you're a business owner, do you want skin in that game? Okay, if the answer is yes, I got a solution. We have a way to use Cardone University to do just that, to give you real skin in the game, okay? To disinfect and inoculate your people from the average epidemic. And if you'd like to see how we do it, while picking up that extra 15 to 30% new business in the first 90 days, be happy to show you how we do it. Be happy to show you how we've done it for about 10,000 other companies and small businesses already. Over 212,000 users on this program, 45 million lessons delivered. Somebody's doing it, right? So check out cardonesolutions.com/10x your team, or just give me a call, 310-777-0352. Let me know you've got average people over there in crisis and you need to get them to excellent. You need to get them to extraordinary, and we're going to help with that, okay? So make sure that you mention that you heard this for a special thank you for signing up bonus, because you're a listener of the Cardone Solutions podcast. So this has been another exciting episode. Just to wrap this up, couple things. If it's helped, share it. If you want more of it and don't want to miss any of it, make sure you've subscribed. And in the words of Grant Cardone, be great, because nothing else pays.